الآن كلمة السيد جيرالد لوليس الرئيس المنتخب لمجلس السفر والسياحة العالمية، فليتفضل.
Mesa Khair, Assalamu Alaikum, and thank you very much, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me here this evening. It's my pleasure to address you on the occasion of the opening of the 9th Saudi Travel and Tourism Investment Market. As the new chairman, starting next week, of the World Travel and Tourism Council, also known as the WTTC, I'm pleased to share with you the latest information which emphasizes the importance of our industry to the global economy and indeed, I believe, to society generally. WTTC is a global body for the private sector in the travel and tourism industry. Its members include over 140 chairmen, presidents, and CEOs from all areas of travel and tourism and hospitality. Travel and tourism remains one of the largest industries, now supporting directly and indirectly over 284 million jobs worldwide, or 1 in 11 jobs. In 2015, the industry contributed $7.2 trillion to the world GDP, representing close to 10% of global GDP. And this year, the sector's contribution is forecast to grow by a further 3.3%. Through my own involvement with the WTTC and the World Economic Forum, we connect with the industry leaders and work together on many important initiatives, and we have 3 strategic pillars within the WTTC. They include the freedom to travel through electronic visa facilitation, but this does not mean a relaxation of security, and I will talk about that in a few minutes. We define our policies for growth, and according to the UNWTO, the World Tourism Organization, the United Nations, by 2020, the number of international travelers will approach 1.6 billion people worldwide, which is up from 1.1 billion last year and already an impressive figure in its own right. Freedom to travel does not mean that we relax on international travel security. Safety and security of travel are of utmost importance to our industry, and we can see how important it is following the events not only in Brussels and Paris, but also in many countries such as Turkey, Syria and Iraq for the terrible atrocities that have happened. However, there is great opportunity to enhance global travel security and through a more logical and internationally coordinated visa issuing process. We have the technology to be able to use common platforms which will facilitate travel and at the same time will enhance security through the international sharing of relevant data. Governments need to understand that tourism is a commodity, it's actually a product. And in fact, international tourism is a direct export for all of us. Therefore, demanding visa reciprocity, for example, is not always necessary or indeed even desirable. And interestingly, in the United Arab Emirates, they have now been given free visa access to the Schengen area. And I'll talk in a second about the background to how that came about. I actually have lived in Dubai since 1978, so you'll understand that I'll talk a little bit about Dubai and about what happened with travel and tourism in Dubai. This is our beautiful Burj Al Arab and the Medina Jumeirah Hotel, where I was CEO for the first 18 years of its existence. And on many occasions, I bring up the example of Dubai, how the decisions of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum helped to develop tourism to Dubai. And it was about 15, 16 years ago, His Highness decided that he would allow up to 30 countries visa-free access to Dubai. These were countries that were no threat to the United Arab Emirates, and we wanted their tourism. But we did not ask for reciprocal arrangements because we knew that many of the countries at the time would not do so. However, Schengen has now done it for the UAE. And look what's happened to tourism over those years. And through the years, Dubai continues to be an example of a great tourism hub. The Emirate welcomes over 14 million visitors each year, and indeed the airport already handles more than 80 million passengers and is now the busiest airport in the world by international passengers. It has actually overtaken Heathrow last year in that regard. And today Dubai is connected through its airport with non-stop direct flights to and from 260 destinations and is serviced by one of the most dynamic airlines of the world, as you all know, is Emirates Airlines. And despite the fact that Emirates is the home airline of Dubai, Dubai itself has always maintained an open skies policy, which I would strongly recommend to any country which is trying to develop our tourism industry. We now have over 100 airlines coming into Dubai, not just Emirates Airlines. And here I would like to highlight and praise the important role of the Saudi General Authority for Civil Aviation, which allowed foreign airlines to apply for route authority to operate domestic flights within the kingdom. This decision surely must have created additional stimulus for competitive airline development, which is only beneficial to domestic tourism and to the overall economy. The principle of open skies should apply, in my opinion, to every country. And I hope that eventually the principle of open skies will also apply to all countries, including Saudi Arabia. And I'm sure that we've already seen the huge plans for the airline of Saudi Arabia. And I think we all know that Saudi will continue to be a great force within the region, particularly as we've just heard of the strategy for the future. And sorry if I talk a little bit about Dubai, but I use it as an example. There are now close to 100,000 rooms and hotel apartments in the city and over 700 hotel and apartment properties. This year, 19,000 new rooms will be added to the portfolio, and the figure will then increase further as Dubai prepares to host the World Expo in 2020, which will be the year when we expect 20 million tourists to visit Dubai city. And what makes Dubai so influential on the world stage is a strong mix of business potential, destination appeal, and visibility for sporting and other events. And I think sometimes people think that tourism is only about leisure tourism. Tourism is about the whole industry of tourism, which also includes business, conference, conventions, and exhibitions, and indeed conferences like we're having here today, tonight and tomorrow. The social benefits of tourism should also not be ignored. Having foreigners visit your country actually helps them to understand and appreciate your culture and your traditions. A very nice example of this, again, is the Sheikh Mohammed Center for Cultural Understanding in Dubai, whereby non-Muslim tourists, and we've done it many times out of the Jumeirah hotels, are invited to attend a lecture about the Islamic religion. This greatly in the local mosque, and this greatly enhances foreigners' understanding and non-Muslims' understanding of religion. And the Imam who gives the lecture, and I've been there myself, talks not about the differences, but the similarities between the great religions. And I'm sure that all of our guests who come away for that really feel that they have enriched their experience by actually coming to Dubai and getting to know something about the local religion, the heritage, and the culture. Sorry, let's put this on. And I know as well that here in Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom has great potential for developing its tourism industry under the leadership of His Royal Highness. It benefits from deeply rooted traditions, culture, history, natural and world heritage sites, as we keep seeing on the lovely videos. And congratulations on what has been achieved already. And as all of you well know, it already welcomes close to 20 million, well ahead of Dubai and the UAE, travellers a year, and has a developed tourism infrastructure with a huge number of modern airports, a world-class airline, and a developed hospitality industry. And, of course, being home to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. Saudi, I'm sure, has immense potential with regards to developing its tourism product. Already it is estimated that more than 25 million pilgrims will come here by 2025. At the same time, Riyadh and Jeddah are the hubs of hotel investment due to the abundance of business tourists in these cities. And here are some of the figures that we've been looking at. In 2014, the total contribution of travel and tourism to the GDP of the Kingdom was 218 billion riyals, or 7.7% of the GDP, which has to be explained. This is direct and indirect results of spending on tourism and travel and the building of hotels and everything that goes with tourism, travel and hospitality. The sector supported over 1 million jobs, or 11% of total employment in the country. Finally, visitor exports generated over 34 billion riyals, or 2.4% of total exports. By 2025, this is forecasted to grow to 4% of the total. The latest WTTC research shows that countries which are dependent on oil income can benefit greatly from investing in travel and tourism to further diversify their economies and to develop additional income streams. And there are some great examples of oil-dependent states that have invested in this sector and therefore boosted their GDP. And very recently, I had the pleasure of visiting Baku in Azerbaijan, where we had the Lucerne Tourism Forum. So apart from Dubai, Azerbaijan is an interesting example. Over the last 3 years, travel and tourism investment in Azerbaijan grew from a small base, admittedly, but to an average of 24% per year, which was the highest growth globally. And given such levels of investment, its travel and tourism GDP growth in 2015 was close to 30%, which is a great achievement for a smaller developing country. I'm equally pleased to recognize that Saudi Arabia has also outperformed the wider economy in 2015, where the contribution of travel and tourism to its economy grew by an impressive 8.6%. Therefore, we at the WTTC would like to encourage the government of Saudi Arabia, if I may say so, as well as other major oil exporting countries, to recognize the potential our sector can bring to its economy, especially in the current situation where income from oil exports is declining. And we have reasons for growth. It should be recognized that our industry is a tremendous stimulator of employment and youth engagement and entry-level employment straight from school or from university. It is important to drive growth through investment in transportation infrastructure, and we can see the amazing growth in the infrastructure here, with the metro being provided soon here in Riyadh and the railway system continuing to develop, and the funding of new hotels and tourism attractions, increasing destination marketing, and continuing to improve the visa process, which actually would welcome people to your country. Next week, the World Travel and Tourism Council is hosting its main annual summit event called the Global Summit, which will be held in Dallas, Texas, in the United States. It goes to a different country every year, and who knows, maybe one year we will welcome the summit here to Saudi Arabia. The theme of this year's summit is Travel Beyond Boundaries. It will address how the sector can continue to grow and to be a force for good, while facing up to major issues that are having a profound impact on the world today. The program will focus on how our industry will respond to the biggest issues of the day, security, migration, climate change, sustainability, which is so important for travel and tourism, and of course, the whole facilitation of travel and freedom to travel while still enhancing security. All of us at the WTTC are particularly honoured and look forward to welcoming His Royal Highness Prince Sultan bin Salman Al Saud, who has achieved so much for the travel and tourism industry of Saudi Arabia, as well as, of course, the whole region and indeed on a global basis. While we deliver the promise of industry growth, we also address some of the most important socio-economic aspects today. We turn challenges into opportunities by reaffirming the statement and all of our strong belief that our industry, tourism, travel and hospitality, is indeed a great force for good in this very troubled world at the moment. So, Your Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Thank you.